Welcome to another edition of Ryan and Alex Game Analysis here. And we're going to go over an opening here in today's video. Alex, before we start, I want to talk about your recent tournament that you played in, the 11-man ballot national tournament. You finished runner-up in that championship. That's absolutely amazing. Tell me your thoughts about how you played.
Actually, I wasn't too pleased with how I played. I was playing good against all of my tougher opponents, but I did not play well against my weaker opponents. I actually lost a couple of games to people I should really never lose to, in my opinion. But it's okay. I was able to bounce back, and I because I came in a runner up, I can actually now challenge for the world championship and 11-man bout against Alex Moiseyev. And it's kind of weird because I was telling you about it right after we had left the tournament that the last 6 rounds we have played each other, we have actually done dead even. I have a few wins and he has a few wins on me, but it's been dead even the last 6 rounds against each other. So I'm I'm confident I can keep up with him and give him a good running for his money, but I do need to study a lot to possibly win the match. So I will be studying a lot of 11-man ballot over the next year or so. So hopefully I'll come out on top and at least do my best and try to have fun with it.
That's amazing. I mean, that is absolutely phenomenal, Alex. And again, congratulations to you. As I mentioned in my previous video, 11-man ballot has 2,500 different openings, and there really isn't any kind of literature or a great starting place to study. So I'd be curious to know kind of what your thoughts are there. And also, as a follow-up question to that, have the contractual talks started with playing for the world title next year against Alex Moiseyev?
So yes, it has. We plan on playing early 2022. I am in the process of getting Joe McDaniels, Charles Walker, and Alan Milholm's contact info to help me set it up and everything, and get the prize fund set up to where we could play, and also like you said, there's no certain way to study, but just getting more practice of it and like at least playing like kind of difficult openings will get me used to all the possibilities. Because if you find an even opening, it's just you playing, trying to play as well as possible. But it'd be nice to figure out all the hard openings and play all of them at least by the time I play Moiseyev. And also, I'm gonna try to learn transposed positions where I can remember certain positions from 3-move openings. I'm going to try to get better about that because obviously there's formations that look familiar, but I'm going to try to remember certain lines that kind of look the same as if they were a 3-move opening. So I'm also going to try to work on that over the next year.
Well, that's some really great insight, Alex. And I know everyone on the channel wishes you luck and wishes you well. And I'm sure we're going to talk even more about this as early 2022 gets here. It's going to be here before you know it. Here we are in July. So congratulations again, Alex. That's absolutely fantastic news. And we're all behind you here. So for today's video, as I mentioned, Alex and I, we're going to go over some game analysis that we played. And we played this opening after a long day of work, so the quality of play maybe isn't the highest that we'd like to see, but these are still fun games and there are still a lot of instructive points here. So the opening we balloted was 10-15, 24-20, and 6-10. This is a pretty even opening with a fair amount of scope here. Alex, what was your first impression when we balloted this opening?
Yeah, like you said, it's a pretty even opening. It's not it does kind of look weird from the red side point of view, but it is a pretty decently even opening. I haven't really had to play it recently that I can remember, but I've been pretty even on it. Not my favorite, but definitely not one of my worst openings either.
Yeah, I'm in the same category. I don't mind it. I think there's some good opportunities here if you catch someone that really doesn't know a whole lot of play on it. But yeah, it's mostly even. And when I balloted this opening in tournaments, it's mostly been draws. And I should say, for the viewer's perspective, we're looking at it from the red side right now with Alex handling the red pieces and I'm handling the white pieces. So after the opening, I play the natural development of 28-24. Again, looking to move either 23-19 next or 23-18, which is what I play in the actual game as a common development here in this opening. Alex, you play the natural 1-6 move, which again forms that strong column out of the double corner and directed to square 19. Now, a lot of old texts give 23-19 in that kind of lassie formation. However, I always play that Basel case defense of 23-18 because that usually forms the reply of 12-16. After 12-16, then you have 32-28, 10-14, 27-23 is the natural development there. But Alex, you play this 15-19 exchange, which is also very good, also in published play. Tell me about this. Did you consider 12-16 or is 15-19 your typical route here?
I do know the 12-16 move is good as well, but I'll admit I'm not a very big fan of it. I kind of have a struggle of winning with it on it, so I don't ever really play it.
Understood. Well, again, the 15-19 is a good alternative. And again, I just play this 21-17 out of the single corner and trying to restrict your movement a little bit more. 9-13 is also published here, but the 11-15 that you played, gaining control of the center, is also a published movement, also very good. So after that exchange, what I play next is the 17-13. And what that does is I'm going to switch over to the white side right now is it plays for a little bit of a trap. Now, Alex, I know you're not falling for this trap, but for people watching this video, if Alex plays 9-14, there is a triple jump here for white. If I play 27-24, forcing this jump, I can then go 22-18, and then there is that triple jump there. But Alex, I know you're not falling for that. So instead, you play this 7-10 move, which again, I wasn't familiar with it, so I just played what looked natural to me, and that's exchange this 22-18 move here. Alex, this next move that you play is really curious to me. You moved 3-8. I'm guessing 4-8 was probably best, but 3-8 is also good. Tell me your thought process behind that move.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure to where you couldn't develop toward the center with just 29-25 and 25-22, or I also and I wanted to put some pressure on the centerpiece. I know the computer favors 4-8 over 3-8. It's like 3-8's a little weak. It's like I believe it's like a -20 on the computer or something like that. But yeah, I just like the 3-8 more. I just like the 3-8 better here because it makes you do something about the piece on the center because obviously you're in a little bit of a shot right here, and then I'll be able to squeeze 9-14 if after the 2-for-2.
Correct. So I have to do something about the piece on 18 right now because, as you mentioned, there's that threat of the 2-for-2 and putting me in a precarious position. So I spent a lot of time on this next move during the game, Alex. I was looking at 26-22, which may be best, but I could see a little ways down the road, and I ended up playing this pretty aggressive 18-15 style. And I know, as we talked about during the game and what we talked about before, the best way to play against you is just to play as aggressive as you would against me, fighting fire with fire, if you will. So I decided, I thought about it. It looked sound to me. The computer did clarify it was sound, this 18-15 move. And then what you do is you squeeze that piece, and you squeeze it by going the 19-24 next. Alex, at this point, were you still thinking win, or were you thinking this is looking pretty drawable?
To be honest, I didn't know. I felt like I had a little bit of an advantage because you're gonna have like a little bit of a weird formation once you do all the jumps. But yeah, I was still definitely gonna try to be aggressive, but I couldn't tell if I um like had a little bit of advantage to play for, or if my position was just a little. I wanted to make sure I didn't overplay my position, which I did do in the other opening we played later on. But yeah, I didn't want to. I wasn't sure if how big my advantage was here, if it was small or big or whatnot.
Yeah, well, again, the proper sequence here, and I didn't really know either. I was also kind of confused like you as far as where this advantage would play out. But the sequence after that 1924 is I follow up with 3228. You then capture the piece and go a piece up. But after 2623, you capture again, and now both of these pieces are trapped. Now I jump 28 to 19, and then you wait 9 to 14. And Alex, this is where I actually messed up, and the computer did confirm this is actually a losing move. The correct sequence would be this 31-22 jump, which to me, I guess makes sense in retrospect, but I wanted to create that column to attack your single corner. So my idea was to jump 30 to 23 and then ultimately develop 31 to 26 and attack this area of the board. However, that's a losing sequence, and I learned that after doing some post-mortem analysis. But yeah, so that's where it looks like there. You played, again, the correct 6 to 10, and then I'm going to follow suit with my strategy, creating the strong column to attack your single corner. After you go 14, 17, again, just natural moves trying to penetrate the single corner. I exchange out by 1916. And then Alex, here is where, and I believe you actually talked about this during the game too, the correct 8-11 will
Yes.
win the game. Yeah, and you said you had talked about this during the game.
Yeah, I should have realized if I went 8 to 12 that you would be able to break out easily, and I guess this is kind of where we were a little bit tired at this point. I also was probably playing a little too fast, but yeah, I saw it once I realized that was not 8 to 12 was not the way to play this, and yeah, I should have went 8-11 for sure. Once I
Yeah,
figured, I didn't know if it won, but that was the other way I was gonna play it. So yeah.
yeah, and it's not super easy either. There's a number of different routes you can take after 8-11, so it's not the easiest win on the board, but it is a technical win. But after the 8-12, like you said, a little tired, playing a little quickly. The draw is pretty much well in hand after 27-23, exchanging that off. And then we played for a few moves yet after 10-15. I just go 26-23 to put a stop to that advance on 22, which you do now. And then here I'm just going to go 23-18 next, and we called the game a draw at that point. So really interesting game. Again, that 8-11 at the end may have won, but who knows, Alex, what would have happened if you would have played that, but it definitely would have been more of an uphill climb for white. So that is the first game there. Now on to the second game. I'm going to show from white's perspective. Again, I had the red pieces, Alex had the white pieces, and the opening we balloted was 10-15, 24-20, and 6-10. Now, Alex, what you play here, 21-17, kind of a secondary line, if you will. Tell me your thoughts here. Was 21-17 always going to be on your mind in this opening?
Yeah, I wanted to. I was gonna go 21-17 no matter what, make it complex as possible, and be aggressive at the same time. So I had already made that decision by the time before you moved 28-24 going white.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a good kind of mixer move, if you will. And I'm just going to solidify my double corner. In these types of openings, it's almost always best to just continue that development of 1-6 afterward. So again, you play that 17-14, exchanging off. And then I'm just going to develop and complete the transposition into that 10-15, 21-17, 6-10 opening. And I'm going to go 7-10 next. You then play the natural 25-22. I'm going to complete the development of going 3-7. You go 29-25. I go 15-19. And then after 25-21, we complete the full transposition into the 24-20 variant of, again, that 10-15, 21-17, and 6-10 opening. You can see it from the red side as well. This is a common secondary line in this opening. So again, I exchange off 11-16 as what is in published play. Alex, you go 22-17 next, which is a good move. I'd actually been in this position before. I played Bill Salat, a former Virginia state champion, in 2019, and he ended up playing the 27-24 move first, but it all ends up being about the same. I'll pause here for a minute, Alex. Were you familiar with this landing, or was this something that you had been through before yourself, or was this just all pure kind of cross-board and all made sense to you?
It was a little bit of both. Again, like on a lot of these, I somewhat remember the formation, but at the same time, I have to figure out the correct moves. Most of the time, when I do remember the formation, yeah, I wasn't. I knew this was drawing formation for both sides. You know, it's not really. I wouldn't say too complicated. I still have the best game, and I mean, you can mess up, but I figured this would end up a draw just looking at the formation, remembering as I went how I played. So yeah, I kind of knew where I was going at this point.
Yeah, and again, looking at the formation, you can see that I have a strong development here attacking White's double corner, but Alex deploys an interesting flank attack to defend it very well. Alex, I don't believe the way you played it is in published play. Maybe it's published somewhere, but again, it all ends up being about the same in the end. So after 22-17, I'm going to hold off on 5-9 at first. I'm going to develop 4-8. Again, 27-24 is typically seen, but this 27-23 that you play is also good. I'm just going to follow up with 8-11. And now you can't play 31-27 because of the 2-for-1 here. So you play 32-27 instead of the 31. Now I'm going to wait with 5-9, and then you just decide to simplify matters by, again, going the correct 17-14. After the jump, you were going to take the 2-for-2, jump back, and we are all squared up once again. We played for a few moves more. I took my time just to make sure I wasn't missing anything, and this is good and instructive for the viewers. I'm going to march in for a king, and you're going to do more of the same. Now, some of you may think, well, white has a major advantage here because you're going to jam those pieces that are underdeveloped on my side of the board. But the truth is, once a king is made, once Alex gets a king, I'm just going to back up by going 7-10, and that really stops any sort of development happening on your side. Alex, I'm sure this was, usual and standard, and you were all expecting this, but I'm sure some of the viewers might think, well, red is still really at a big disadvantage because that king is holding two pieces, but ultimately there's nothing that can be done here, and I'm sure you realize that, or do you have anything to add to this type of development?
Yeah, I mean, uh, again, I knew I didn't have a win here at all, so I was just going to play for a draw at this point. There's nothing really I can do to win. I can't. I got to make sure I don't overplay my position. But yeah, I mean, this is just a draw from all the way if both sides play it correctly and don't overplay the position.
Yeah, and that's what Alex does. So Alex keeps the king there holding the two pieces, so he's going to start developing out of his double corner. I'm going to crown. I can crown on 30 as well. I prefer to crown on 29 here. Again, Alex just is going to further develop his position, but ultimately he's going to have to bring a piece on 19, which can be exchanged with 10-15 at some point, which is exactly what happens in this position. And we called it a draw at this point. So again, very instructive play here. I really enjoyed this kind of ending formation, and I think the viewers will enjoy the sequence as well as I'm showing it here on the board. So again, two really good draws on a very very even opening. So Alex, thanks again for your time, and we're going to discuss in the next video another opening that we played. And to give you all a preview, that opening is 10-14, 24-19, and 7-10. Thanks, as always, for watching.